Welcome to Through My Eyes, our series of interviews with Mohawk Valley veterans. Produced by David Warner and the Studio 25 Network. I'm Ralph Renzulli, and I'm really happy to have with me today Bruce Hartness. Bruce grew up in Holland Patent. He's been in Dolgeville for many years, and he served in the Army, and he was in Vietnam from May of 1967 to May of 1968. Bruce, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you doing this.
It's a pleasure.
Great. As I usually do, I'd like to go back to your high school days. Mm-hmm. So you graduated in 66. So around that time when you were like a junior, senior, was Vietnam on your radar at all?
Not at all. Not at all.
So you didn't read about it? You didn't know what was going on there?
I was never up to date on it at all.
Okay. So you graduate in June of 66. Mm-hmm. You didn't get drafted until, I believe, December?
December.
So what was going on in between there? What were you doing?
I started working my father got me a job down Revere Wire Company in Rome.
In Rome, okay.
And I was working there as a lift truck operator.
Okay. So were you thinking that you might get drafted? Were you worried about it?
I never really thought about it, It was Vietnam was not on the list.
Okay. So you get greetings from Uncle Sam. How did that feel?
Sudden, startling.
Yeah.
Eye-opening.
I bet. Yeah. How'd your family feel about it?
Mother and father were worried.
Yeah.
That's when they really started worrying.
I bet they were. Yeah. So off to basic training?
Yeah. Well, I had the option of taking some time off before I went into the service.
Okay.
So I took that, which was a big mistake.
Why?
Because when I got through, I had to subtract that from my time off I was getting. I was allowed.
Okay.
So when I was done it all through with basic training, I had a very short time at home before I left because I subtracted those days.
So how much of a lag time between the time you got the letter and you actually were inducted?
Probably 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. That's not so bad. No. I don't think. So where did you do your basic training?
Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that. How was it?
Cold. It was in December.
Oh, that's right.
Poor training for Vietnam.
Poor training?
For Vietnam, yes.
Okay. So why do you say it was poor training?
Cold. A little bit different.
Oh, from that aspect, yeah. Sure. Yeah. I thought you meant from a warfare standpoint.
Bundled up,
Yeah. A little bit different. A little bit different climate. Yeah. Do you remember anything about your drill instructor? How was he?
Tough. They were all tough.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
All the
sergeants. Did you get through it okay?
Oh, yeah.
Was there anything in particular that stands out in your mind about that training? Recall anything, any special memories or?
No, it's just the cold and the cold and jumping through the snow,
Yeah. So you
physical aspects of it.
Yeah. So you had to march through that and run through that and all that stuff. Yeah. How'd you do on the rifle range?
Aced them.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You were a good shot.
Oh yeah.
Had you ever fired a gun prior to that?
I used to do a hunting, but only with a 20 gauge shotgun and 22.
Okay.
But I never killed anything.
Yeah.
I always end up out in the field shooting the trees.
Right. So did that serve you well since you were a good shot?
Well, yeah, it helped.
Okay.
Yeah, when you could see the target.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little while. So how long was basic? How many weeks?
Oh my goodness, what was it? 8 weeks?
8 weeks?
2 months.
Okay.
I think it was 2 months.
So we're, into February now?
Yeah.
Is that where we are, February of 67?
Yeah. Immediately went to advanced infantry training.
Okay, and you did that where?
Fort Benning.
Fort Benning. And what was that training about? What did you learn there?
Well, of the whole company that went to advanced infantry training, only 2 of us went.
only 2 out of the whole company went to Vietnam?
Went to infantry training.
Oh. Okay. Was there something specialized about AIT training? I mean, was like, for example, is there a particular weapon that you trained on?
Oh, the M14 or the M14 is it? No,
M16?
no, 14. They do advanced infantry, and so 16, so infantry or to the advanced infantry training.
How long were you at Fort Benning?
Fort Benning, that was another 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you think, looking back on it, do you think that you were properly prepared for Vietnam when you left Fort Benning?
Yeah, I think so.
So it was good training?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say so, yes.
Did you go anywhere else after that before you went to Vietnam? Or was that your last stop before you went there?
That was my last stop. Yeah.
Okay. And you had to leave after that? Did you come home?
Yeah, for short leave. Yeah.
Short leave, okay. So now you said you were 11 Bravo, right? I wanted to mention that, which for people who don't know, 11 Bravo is infantrymen, otherwise known as a grunt, right? Okay. So tell me about how you got to Vietnam. I assume you had a charter flight. And where'd you go? Where'd you fly from?
A whole plane full of us.
Okay.
Up to, went to Fairbanks. From Fairbanks, we flew over straight to Vietnam.
Straight over?
Cam Bay.
You landed in
Cam Bay.
Cam Bay. Okay. So one of the questions I always like to ask is when they opened up that door of the plane and you stepped out, what was that like? What were you thinking?
Instant heat just struck you in the face,
Yeah.
A little reality set in. But, it's like any other base in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was normal.
Big. Cam Bay was pretty big.
Yeah. But it was set up the same as a base. So not like a division, but, it wasn't camp. It wasn't Quonset huts. It was regular buildings for...
Yeah, sure. What'd you do for the first few days when you were there?
Physicals, going through different physicals and tests.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, of all the tests that I took, the worst test I've ever took was in infantry.
Really?
Yes, it was my lowest grade.
What do you mean by that, infantry? What did that consist of, the test? I mean, do you remember what question they would ask?
Yeah, working a map. It's physical things that you do out in the field that you have to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Putting your rifle together and taking it apart. And, stuff like that.
Okay. Which is pretty important when you're out in the field, right? Okay. So, where did you end up in Vietnam? Where were you stationed?
We went to 4th Infantry Division, was stationed just outside of Pleiku.
Okay.
Up north. I was sent to B Company, 1st Battalion, 8th Infantry, 4th Infantry Division.
Okay. So Pleiku, and I'm picturing the map in my head here, and because Vietnam was divided in 4 sections militarily, I think that was what they called 2 Corps?
2 Corps.
Yeah. So
it was I Corps, I think.
It was I Corps. Different. All right. So it would be in the north, right on the border, right near the border of Cambodia, right? Right. Very close.
Yeah. Right there.
Okay. So how did you get from Cam Bay up to Pleiku? Did you take a helicopter or
Huey?
You flew on a Huey.
Huey, yep.
Okay. How many guys in that Huey? Like 6, 7, 8, maybe?
Yeah, wasn't that many.
Hey, had you ever been in a helicopter prior to that?
No, it took no training in a helicopter in the States. No, I never.
Okay. Were the doors open?
No.
Yeah, they weren't open?
No.
Because a lot of the Hueys had door gunners on the sides. It was probably.
No, on the Chinook. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was a Chinook. Okay,
I'm sorry.
Much bigger helicopter.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, okay. So from there, you went right to Pleiku from Cameron Bay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were the first few days at base camp like for you?
Most of that was getting used to the hour change, and then we would go out in the field to familiarize yourself with the terrain, and especially the hour change, the different hour changes. Try to get our bodies and to train and get used to the hours.
The hours. Okay.
The hours difference.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It was never any contact with anybody. It was going to the safe zone. Just
so this is
make
like
sure you got a rucksack on your back. You
Yeah.
just get out, familiarize yourself with that.
So it's like an orientation.
Right.
Yeah. So did you have experienced people with you who had done this before, who were experienced in combat or anything like that, as a sort of a
Just
mentoring kind of a thing?
Squad leader.
Squad leader?
Each squad had his own sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah, he was with us all times.
All right. So what'd you have to carry in your rucksack?
You had to have 3 days of meals, any personal things you want. Grenades attached here and there, and ammunition. Being in the fourth company, or the fourth company of a platoon, we were the machine gun company. Carried the machine gun.
You carried a machine gun?
Yes.
Okay.
Grenade launchers. So we had we carry them. And anything we'd have, we'd be out in the field to make sure that we got used to all that.
Was this like an M60 machine gun? I don't.
M16 was a 6.
Well, the M16 was a rifle, right?
Yeah, it was just.
You said you carried a machine gun.
6mm.
Okay.
Machine gun was a 7.62.
Oh, okay.
Bigger shell.
Okay. So if you were carrying a machine gun, how much ammo did you have to bring with you?
If I carried the machine gun, you'd have maybe 100 rounds in the machine gun already.
Okay.
And the guy you exchange the machine gun every other day would have the rest of the machine gun strapped on across his chest. And each one of those was 100 rounds.
So you had like a gunner's mate kind of thing? Is that what that was?
Yeah, every other day. We just exchanged it every other day. He carried one day and I carried the next day.
Okay.
So no one would have to carry it all the time.
Yeah. All right. So what was the mission of your unit? What was the role of this
Seek
unit?
and destroy.
Search and destroy?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long was it before you actually went on your first live patrol out where there was looking for the enemy?
After 4 days after we got our training out and getting used to everything, we were shipped out to our company.
Shipped out? You say shipped out to where?
From, I couldn't tell you where it was. I know it was out in the field someplace.
Out in the bush someplace.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you walk there, or did you fly there?
It was Huey's.
Okay.
Huey's took us out there.
Okay. I've seen a lot of photos and videos of those Hueys, and actually I interviewed David Teal from Little Falls here, who was a helicopter pilot, and we talked about that a little bit. And the thing that always amazed me, I see pictures of this, and I see guys with their legs hanging out the door, and I'm thinking, I could never. I don't think I could ever do that. Did you ever do that?
No, there was a room for probably 4 people in each helicopter.
In a seat.
In a seat.
Okay, but you weren't strapped in or anything.
No.
Okay.
Turns were kind of.
Well, yeah, you see them banking, and you wonder why people don't fall out of the helicopter. I always wondered about that.
If you see that guy who did the helicopter, ask him why he didn't land. Every time he brought the troops in, why he kept it about a foot and a half above the ground. We had to
So
jump out.
they wanted to hover because they wanted to get their ass out of there as soon as they could.
At least I know I fell out. I jumped out one time. I buried my barrel up in a gook, and I couldn't fire in if I could.
Oh, no
Because it was
kidding.
all plugged up. I had to, I had to wait until I clean it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, right when you needed it, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy
Ask him why he
smokes.
did that.
Yeah.
Well, he wanted his safety for himself.
Some guys have talked about jumping off those helicopters into elephant grass and getting all cut up. Did that ever happen to you?
No, we didn't have any elephant grass.
Not
That's
up
down-
there.
That's down south. Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, tell me what you're in the Central Highlands, mountainous, right?
Yeah.
What was that like up there? You must have climbed a lot of hills.
Well, every mountain you climbed up, you went down.
Yeah.
And you couldn't go around. You didn't want to go around because the enemy would always take the high ground. So you always wanted the high ground.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always up and down, never around.
How long did it take before you had to fire that weapon?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Do you remember what your first firefight was like?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can you tell me about it?
We were dropped into this, actually it wasn't on top of a hill, it was kind of in a valley. We were dropped into a valley and huge trees, they're unusual trees at the base of them are what fans out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really fans out. I mean, you could get between where they fanned out and you could huddle right in it. In fact, we saw 3 North Vietnamese huddled in one of these areas, trying to be protected, with their arms around each other. It wasn't a bit of blood. The only blood was coming out of the ears. It was just a shock, concussion from the artillery rounds that killed them.
Oh.
So
And
we had these big trees, and that's where we would try to get behind or get into just below a hump in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Something for cover, right,
Yeah,
I would
anything.
think.
Yeah.
So these 3 guys were dead.
Yeah.
So up in that area, you mentioned North Vietnamese. There were primarily NVA troops there?
That's all we saw.
Yeah, that's all you saw. There weren't any Viet Cong up there.
Never saw one.
And from what I've heard from different people and read about, the North Vietnamese troops were well-trained, good fighters. Is that true?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
They were persistent. I mean, I imagine King Kong were too, but they would. Weren't very afraid to get close to you, get up front and close.
They came right at you.
They came right in.
Yeah. How close did you get to one of these guys?
Oh my goodness, 25 feet, maybe.
Really?
20 feet, something like that.
What's it like when you have to shoot someone?
Oh yeah, no, you don't think about it.
You just do it.
It's a reaction.
Well, it's either him or you,
Yeah,
I
It's
suppose.
just a reaction.
Yeah. Do you ever get over? Do you ever get used to that? I mean, you were there for a year. Do you ever get used to it? I can't imagine that you would.
No, never did.
Yeah.
No. Never felt remorse towards it.
Well, you were doing your job.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to picture in my head something like that happening. How do you had to be scared. How did you deal with the fear? How do you manage that and go out and do this like every day when you have to go out on a patrol like this? How do you deal with it?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's all just sudden reaction. You just reacting so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have time to think. Oh well, should I swing it this way? Should I swing it this way? You just go in the direction it's coming from. You just don't have time.
Yeah.
It's fear. There's fear. You get shaky and get tense.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Did you ever walk point?
Yes.
I can't imagine what that would be like because that's the guy that's the first guy to get hit.
No, not necessarily.
No?
They'll let you pass.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I know. Hit you. Get the majority of the ones there. They just don't want the front people. They wait until it pass.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that It's the machine gunner that maybe they'd want to take out because of your weapon.
Well, you wouldn't be carrying a machine gun in the front. You'd be
Oh,
behind
okay.
him, behind.
Oh, okay.
In fact, you'd be maybe 5 to 10 meters ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. In general, how often did you see combat?
On a monthly basis, 3 to 4 times probably. 3 to 4
Every
times.
month?
Yeah.
That seems like a lot.
Well, it probably wasn't as much as down south because of the mountains and the amount of walking you had to do.
Yeah. How much did your rucksack weigh?
Probably about 50 pounds at least, minimum, if you're fully.
Yeah. So you're going up and down
meals.
these hills. You're carrying a gun. You've got a rucksack. I mean, was it hot up there? It's probably not as hot as in the south, but it had to be pretty warm.
Oh, yeah, it was
Huh?
humid.
Yeah.
Then a monsoon comes, and it's funny about the monsoon. It would rain all day, rain all night until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it would stop for an hour. Then it would start up again.
So you're all wet.
Always all wet. I mean, to dry off, you and another guy would put your ponchos together to make a tent. And you get in there, and you have a mattress, which you carry too. You had to blow that up. And that's the only way time you got dry is your body temperature, dry everything out.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you got up, you're wet again.
So you slept on the ground.
Oh, yeah, except on a mattress. If it didn't have a hole in it. Yeah.
You carried sea rations?
Yeah, 3 meals.
What were they like? Any good?
Oh, well, no.
No, I wouldn't think so.
One meal I wouldn't like was ham and lima beans. But I had a lot of brothers,
A lot of what?
black brothers. We had brothers on the East.
Oh.
And they were happy with them, so I exchanged for anytime I
Oh,
could.
no kidding.
Yeah, they didn't mind them. I couldn't stand them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other food wasn't that good. Some of it was pretty good, but you had to have something. I remember my mother, God bless her, sent me over a loaf of bread, cut in half, and you open it up, and there's a bottle of vodka inside.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, on the field.
She hid it in there?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool is that?
So that went around. Wasn't long before that was gone.
I bet.
Yeah, but the food.
Yeah. What's the longest you were out in the field without getting back to your base camp?
You'd rotate once a month. Once a month, you'd go in and guard your base camp. Your company base camp has 4. Once a month. Then next month, you go back out in the field for 3 weeks until next time arrived. But for once a week a month, you'd be somewhat safe in a perimeter guarding your.
Yeah, I asked you how long you were out there because I'm thinking that you probably didn't get to shower for a while.
Oh no!
How long is what's the longest you went without being able to
I
gaze?
can't remember.
What's that?
I can't remember that. There were, whenever you came to a stream, you're lucky to fill up your canteen, wash your face off and hands, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. So you couldn't even change your underwear. Probably didn't even wear underwear, did you?
No, I didn't.
I've heard that before.
But they, with the food that came out, they gave you clean clothes.
So you got resupplied. Is that what you're saying?
Every 4 days.
By Huey's.
Yeah.
Every 4 days. And they brought food, ammo, water,
whatever. Yeah.
clothes.
Not water. No.
Not water?
No. Iodine tablets. You had to put iodine tablets in all the water.
So I can't remember which vet it was, but he was saying, might have been John Fraser, talking about the need for water, and that some guys would go in a bomb crater that was full of water and drink that, which was probably contaminated with Agent Orange.
I don't know about that. But she had to have an iodine tablet. She always put an iodine tablet in
Yeah.
whatever water you got anywhere,
Yeah.
even the stream water.
Take malaria tablets as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Anybody get sick in your unit?
No malaria.
No.
We'd also have mosquito repellent.
Yep. Getting back to the combat aspect, you had how many? You were in a platoon, obviously. How many guys in your platoon?
Well, each platoon. Let me think. 32, 34, something like that. I think. There was always enough. I mean, every time, even when you're supplied, if you needed a warm body, they'd send out to you.
Yeah. An FNG? They call them FNGs. Yeah. Which you were at one time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny about the whole platoon I was on was a replacement platoon for another platoon, a whole platoon that was wiped out.
Okay.
I mean, at our home base, at our company headquarters, they have a plaque in the back, and one side has names on it, and the other side, the other. At one side was just names of people that were killed all at once, and they were all killed except I think for one was an MIA. So we were a replacement for a whole platoon.
Okay. What about your platoon? How many survived? Any idea?
No. I have a picture that is, I marked off the picture.
Oh, that's right. You showed that to me. Of all the guys that didn't make it.
Well, they didn't come back.
They didn't come back.
Some of them were wounded so bad that they never came back, and the other ones were killed.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but it was a lot. I mean, it was.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of rotation here.
How about yourself? Did you ever get wounded?
No.
So you're fortunate.
Yeah.
You
I
avoided it.
sprained my ankle once. I was sent back because of that.
Sent back to where?
Company.
Company.
Play cool.
Okay.
Just long enough for it to heal and go back out. I had very weak ankles.
Okay. Did you get any R&R while you were there?
Yeah.
Where
You
did
get 1 R, 2 R&Rs, one in country and 1 R out of country. Luckily, I finagled to get 3. I got 2 out of country and 1 in country.
Where did you go?
Out of country one was in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Because I had a girlfriend then that I met, that I had, and I knew,
She was there?
She met me. Well, yeah, she met me there because we had a mutual friend that lived in Hawaii, so she was there when I came back. She's the one I got there are such things as Dear John mails too.
You got one of those?
Yes.
Oh, no kidding.
And the other 2 was one in country. I can't remember where it was. Someplace on the coast near the ocean. The other one was in Singapore, that's a beautiful country.
Okay.
It was nice, relax.
So you on the R&R for, how long were you there? A couple of weeks?
No,
Week?
just a week.
About a week.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, you had to go back.
Yeah.
It had to,
Oh, yeah.
it had to be disappointing.
Yeah. Especially the one from Hawaii.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So you mentioned, a few minutes ago, you mentioned the Black Brothers.
Yeah.
Were there any racial units or racial issues that you aware of at all?
No.
No?
No. If there was, you never brought it up.
Yeah. Okay.
They watch for you just as much as you watch for them.
Yeah. How about drug use? See any of that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, the only thing was marijuana. Yeah. But you know when to smoke that.
Not in the field, right?
No.
Just when you're...
Yeah, at base camp.
Okay. So it's fairly prevalent?
No.
No?
Well, I could, pretty much kept it to yourself.
Uh-huh.
You don't want somebody thinking you're high out in the field, which you weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that would be... If you're trying to protect each other, that's not the thing to do, right? So...
that's the only drugs we came.
What's that?
That's the only drugs I knew about.
Okay.
Which is probably enough.
Yeah. I bet.
As I came home, it was there again.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any contact with the Vietnamese people themselves?
Yeah, some homicides when you're back in the base camp. And then the mountain heads out.
The Mamasans were taking care of you, doing your
Laundry.
laundry.
Yeah. You never really see very much of them. I mean, I never had them do my laundry. You always got a clean pair of clothes.
Yeah. How about the villagers? Did you pass through any?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Very primitive people.
So you're talking about the Montagnards?
Yeah.
I think I'm saying that right, Montagnards?
It's all right.
Yeah. What were they? You say primitive.
Loincloth. Yeah. But they kept to themselves. But if you needed something or could convey to them what you needed, they were there to help you.
Mm-hmm. So they were friendly to the Americans.
Yes. Yeah.
Helped you out.
Anyone that we ran across. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me what your worst day was there?
Tet.
That offensive. So you obviously you got to Vietnam in May of '67, and in January of '68 you were still there. That's when Tet hit. What was that like? What was that about? Do you recall?
Well, we were around the Cambodian Laotian border, Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Mm-hmm.
So we were always close to them, and I knew they were watching us. And when Tet happened, they just seemed to be more of them, and I was just constantly fighting for several days, 3 days at least. It was keep alert.
Yeah. So was there a particular firefight during Tet that sticks in your head at all? Had a close name named Alvarez. In fact, he's sitting next to me in a picture of the platoon. I was carrying a gun that day, a machine gun that day, and we were hit. And I was up a bit higher ground than he was, and he was down on the lower ground. But they were getting hit worse than we were. They called for the machine gun to come down there. This is after we moved up. We were together until they wanted us to move up, get a higher ground for better coverage. And he was still down low. And we were hit. So we had to call in artillery. And we called in artillery, and a short round killed him. And I thought about, I've had dreams about that, not in a long time. That I was just down there. Yeah.
I would have been killed right then and there.
So this was friendly fire.
Yes, friendly fire. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So you knew this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, we were close.
Yeah.
Like I say, he sat right next to me in our platoon picture. Yeah. Great guy.
You know, they say that combat creates bonds that are totally different than anything else a guy would experience. Is that true?
Yeah.
You feel that?
Especially the guy you alternate the machine gun with every day, Donald Munsell. I'll never forget his name. In fact, I went to the wall, see the wall down in Washington. And they had a guy. I got there before he did, and I left it before he did.
Okay.
They have a soldier there that's got a list of people on the wall. And I went there and asked him about Munsell. And he said, well, we don't have a Munsell name here. So I know he made it out all right.
Yeah.
I never made contact with him again. I wasn't sure of his address. I think he was out from Detroit or something like that.
Okay.
But I never made contact with him again. It's somebody he knew very intimately, because every day you sat right next to him.
Right.
You're feeding him ammo, or he's feeding ammo to you.
Yeah. Saving each other.
Yeah.
You had each other's backs.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about the wall. I wanted to know if you had gone.
Yeah.
Obviously you did. Well, it had to be pretty emotional, huh?
Well, I think it's the best memorial there. It's so how it starts out low, and number of people killed, it just peaks way up and goes back down.
Yeah. I've seen it. I
Have you
took
gone
my
there?
I took my kids there. Yeah.
It's very impressive. I think it's the most impressive one there.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's very
it is.
unique.
Yeah.
And it's a great tribute.
It's so, it's actual, you can see the increase when all of a sudden they got 500,000 soldiers there, and it goes back down when they withdrew.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
I can picture it.
So as you got to the end of your tour, Bruce, and you became what they call what's known as a short timer.
I had my short timer calendar I carried with me all the way. In fact, I have it at home, all X's on them.
Oh yeah,
Still
kept it. Did they cut you some slack and take you out of the field as you got short, or did you have to stay right to the end?
Yep.
What were you thinking when you got there?
Nothing like experience.
What's that?
Nothing like experience.
Well, the attrition rate was pretty high, so they needed people like you to show the other guys, the new guys, the ropes, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
If they're teachable.
If they're teachable.
Some aren't.
Really?
Yeah, some. I know one guy, we had to kick him right out. Tell him, take him out of here. Get him out of here.
Dangerous to have around?
Yes.
So, like, what would he do, or what didn't he do that he should have done?
He didn't do.
What he didn't do?
Coward. A coward, I can't say he's a coward, but he wouldn't fight when he needed to be fought.
He was scared.
Yeah.
Too scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine you need people that are going.
Temperamental for everybody else.
Yeah. So how were you feeling when you finally got out of there?
Elated.
Yeah.
Elated. Oh boy. You bet.
So Huey came, picked you up, and brought you where? How did that happen?
Back to Division.
Okay.
Division sent us down to Cameron Bay, which we. At Cameron Bay, we got brand new uniforms, right off the rack, dressed in that, and just a whole plane load of us. Everyone on that plane was a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to San Francisco, we landed.
What was it like at Wheels Up?
It's this big grin on your face. You just
made it.
Relieved.
Yeah, you made it.
Yeah. They can't send you back.
Yeah.
Not unless you volunteered.
A year and done. 1 year and out. Yeah. So where did you land in the States?
San Francisco.
So it would have been 67, May of
8.
Or 68 rather, right. So that country was in some turmoil back then. Were there any protesters at the airport? You see
like
that?
I say, you got off the plane in your military uniforms. And I had civilian clothes that division base camps that are filed away someplace in a box that you grabbed when you want to come home. And you got off the plane and you walk through the terminal in your uniforms. You get some. You don't get the second look at a long stare. You turn away. So as soon as I got there, I went into the restroom and changed my clothes.
Change your clothes.
Changed my clothes. Got out of them. Got my civvies.
Yeah. Some say they were spit at, called baby killers. Did you hear any of that?
No, I never heard that.
Didn't hear that?
It's just to turn on how to turn away.
Yeah. But there were protests. So obviously, here you are, just back from Vietnam. Gone through, you saw people killed, shot at people, and you're doing your job, doing your duty. How did that make you feel? Half the country's against the war.
I could see at their point, because when I became a civilian, I became that completely against the war. So I was.
Were you?
Yeah. I could relate to them, and there was no animosity towards them when I came home.
Yeah.
I could see that, but I didn't want to know what's going through their head.
Yeah. So you say you were against the war. Why were you against the war?
Well, you had to be there, I guess. What's the use?
Wasn't worth fighting for?
You knew it was unwinnable.
It's unwinnable.
You knew it.
Yeah. How did you feel about the strategy that the government had and the way the war was fought, rules of engagement, all that stuff?
Just mad they weren't talking to each other. Governments weren't talking to each other. It seems like it could be resolved some way, but administrations, all administration, whether Republican or Democrat, wanted that country. They wanted it.
But in terms of
stop the
in terms of on the ground fighting, the way you had to fight, were you okay with that?
Oh, the way.
I mean, so, let me give you an example. I've read about, like, for example, a hill had to be taken.
Yeah.
Whether it was the Marine Corps or the Army, you'd take the hill, stay there maybe a week, you'd leave, and then the North Vietnamese would take the hill back, and there was never any ground gained. Right? I mean, it's kind of nuts, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it was.
It has to be frustrating.
Well, you knew it was unwinnable. What's the use of doing that?
Yeah.
That's what turned me off to everything. The stupid things that they.
Yeah, and of course, then you had the whole Cambodia thing. I mean, you were very close to. You were probably in Cambodia.
Yeah, I was.
And that was before Nixon was telling people that we were in Cambodia, which was one of the things that fueled the protests. So, were you there often? Did that happen a lot?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no line.
Yeah, you didn't know. They just said, "Go here."
I know we were in the Idrang Valley for quite a number of times, in and out of there constantly because they'd be there. That's right along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and so I couldn't tell you what I was in there or out of it.
But it happened.
I had been in there.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you do after you got out? I assume you had what? You must have had a few months left in your enlistment, right? Or your
I had until December. I got home. And pulled up. My mother and father met me at the plane, and I got in a car. And she let me drive home. I drove for the first time in a year. I got home. As soon as I got home, took the car and went to a bar.
Why am I not surprised?
Commenced to drink some real beer.
What was the first good meal you had?
Mom's lasagna.
Oh, Mom's lasagna.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
And her dessert, apple pie. She was a great cook.
Yeah, I bet that had to be.
Well, that's how I became a diabetic, by eating all her sweets.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. Tough sacrifice to make, right?
Yes. Yeah. But when I got drunk, he came home and slept it off. They told me I've never told this to anybody. They told me they'd hear me in the middle of the night yell out Alvarez's name, but I don't remember it. I never yelled it loud enough to wake me up, but they said they'd hear me.
So
I'd wake them up.
So you had some nightmares.
I guess.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't remember. Probably just shut it out.
Yeah.
I must have.
Yeah.
That was so, vivid at the time. Area 50 yards of where I could have been killed. I was there.
Luck of the draw, right?
Lucky, yeah.
He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. You were in the right place at the right time, unfortunately. But
I carried a machine gun and he didn't. That's why I got up on the hill.
that day, so if you hadn't have been carrying the machine gun, you would have been on the lower ground.
That's right.
Man, I could see where that would stick in your head. Yeah. Anybody ask you about your service after you got back?
No one.
No.
Not that I can remember. I had a cousin named Dwayne. He talked to me about it. Mm-hmm. And he's the only guy I talked to about it.
Well, I remember when we worked together at the paper mill many, many years ago. I was shocked when I found out that you were in Vietnam because obviously you never had said anything about it. And I'm not sure how that conversation came up, but I remember you showing me a couple of pictures of you were walking through the jungle or the mountains or whatever with that machine gun around, and ammo around your neck. And I thought, oh, my God, But we never talked about it again after that. Most guys didn't, right? They didn't bring it. They just.
I don't think so. I can't say what other ones did.
Yeah.
It wasn't too hard a guy. I can't remember. There was, in my area where I lived, I think there was only one other person I knew of that had been to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. I don't think we even talked about it that much. I don't think we talked about it. Some things you shut right out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might have talked to him about it, but
it
wasn't an in-depth conversation.
Okay, yeah. I knew several guys in Little Falls who it wasn't until many years later I found out they were in Vietnam. And I knew these people, partied with them, out drinking together and stuff, and never even knew it. And then I looked back and I thought, yeah, they were a little squirrely, but I never really attributed it. I didn't know, and they were, yeah. Some of them, like you, saw heavy combat, and you wondered, wow.
Well, it's a big reason probably why I got into drugs after I came home. To try to blot out that.
Yeah. Heavy duty stuff?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no heroin, LSD, yes. Marijuana, yes.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah. Yeah. To the point where you're addicted to it?
Well, yeah. Psychologically, yeah.
Yeah.
Not LSD, but
yeah,
I'd be out there buying an ounce bag.
Yeah.
Whenever I ran out.
Well, it was popular anyway back then. I mean, it is now, but back then, obviously. Yeah.
Well, then everybody else knew about it, and that would turn a lot of people off automatically if you did that.
Well, I saw a lot of that. I mean, I was on campus from '69 to '73. I mean, it was if you didn't know about pot, you were living under a rock, for crying out loud. Yeah. So thinking about this whole thing, I mean, how did it change you as a person? It had to have an effect on you, your experience in Vietnam.
I'm a lot quieter than I was, let's say, before I was drafted. I'm a lot quieter. Mm-hmm. I don't really talk about my life's events to anybody. That's a big change, I think. Mm-hmm. Since I missed my wife, I had the kids. That's my world.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's a good world to have.
Yes.
PTSD an issue for you?
No. Not that I know of. I don't think so. No.
So you never went to the VA for that?
No.
How about Agent Orange? Any impact on you?
I got. I've been through Agent Orange. Stuff, awful stuff. Everything's dead, slimy. You walk through it. When I initially came home and wanted to get into VA and all these tests that I had to go to, went all over this New York State, different places. And one of the guys asked me about Agent Orange. I said, yeah, I went through it several times.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, that was it. That's when I found out I was a diabetic, and he attributed diabetes to it. And it gave me disability on it.
Okay.
90% disability.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. I should have done this earlier. I mean, 90%, that's another income.
So
that's another retirement check.
Yeah. How long after you got out did you find this out? How long ago was it?
Well, it wasn't too long because I wanted to immediately get into the VA because I had heard about from other people, other veterans, that it's great to get to know them, and it's one of the best things I ever did. They've been great. I mean, great. I can't say more about them than they were fantastic. Anything I wanted, I don't any kind of medical. I don't have to pay for any medicine. If I have any kind of problem, new glasses, or I got my hearing aids through. Anything you wanted.
Well, you guys certainly deserve that. You earned it.
I'd heard a lot of bad talk about it.
So did I. Yeah, I've heard other people say, and some of the interviews I did, they said that
I can't say enough about
the VA wasn't cooperative. That they.
Not for me.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I know it's not an easy thing to talk about. And as you said, you haven't really gotten into it.
Some things that I've never talked about.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, some have said that once they say it and get it out there, that they feel better about it. That it helps. It's almost kind of like a therapy of some kind.
I think this interview's got to sink in a little bit here.
Would you like to watch it?
No. Oh, no.
I don't like watching myself either. So.
No.
But I always look at it this way. I think it's good history. I mean, it's a personal history for you, but I mean, you've got kids. You've got 2 kids. They've probably never heard any of this. Maybe they might be interested, or maybe they're not. But I would think, or their kids someday may want to watch it. And that was one of the reasons I did this to begin with, to put it on the record. After all, we're not getting any younger. Let's get it on the record. And somebody someday, they might look and let's listen to Bruce Hartness. I might be a classroom somewhere and say, hey, we're studying Vietnam. Let's listen to this interview. Or your kids might say, geez, I learned something that I never learned before. In fact, Dave and I got a really nice email from a guy's son that I interviewed, and thanking us profusely because he had never heard his father's story. And it makes it all worthwhile for me.
Well, I hope the one thing I wish people would learn from this is don't go to war with a war you can't win. Or you don't want to win.
Interesting you bring that up because that was going to be my last question. Any advice, having been there?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Just don't go to war.
Have an exit strategy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good point. And I think we'll end with that because that's really good advice.
Very good.
Again, I appreciate you doing this.
It's been a pleasure. Believe me.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Eye-opener.
Yeah, good. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you.
That's it for another episode of Through My Eyes, Bruce Hartness, Army vet. Next up is Paul Daw, Army Ranger. Thank you for watching.